Hey everybody, it's Mr. Carr again. Today we're going to be looking at 9-1 day one. Today's goal is we're going to be talking about graphing points with what's called polar coordinates. Okay, so that is our new thing that we're kind of shifting in this unit. So let's start with talking about what are polar coordinates. So in the polar coordinate plane, the origin is a fixed point known as the pole. Okay, so we have that right here. That's our fixed point. The polar axis starts at 0 degrees. So just like a unit circle is going to start on this axis is the idea. So a point that's in the polar coordinate is always r comma theta, where r is our distance from the pole to the point, and then theta is our directed angle from the polar axis. So what we're saying is we're always going to go around the circle in this direction, just like our unit circle, and then we go a certain amount. So every line here, okay, every one of those lines is like a radius of 1 is the idea. Okay, so let's start with just some plotting real quick. So we got point S is at point 1, 200 degrees. So again, if I focus on starting in my polar axis, I'm going to go 200 degrees, which I can see is 195 and 210. So it's a little bit past that. Or a little bit past 195. So that's going to put me right about here for 200 degrees. Okay, just kind of estimating there. So that's, if that is 200 degrees there, with the r is equal to 1, we're going to go from the fixed point in the middle, one spot away. So this is my point S. It's a little hard to see, but it's right here. Okay, that is the first inner circle, is r is 1. If r was 2, I would go here to that circle. If r was 3, I go here, and so on. Okay, so let's do this one. R is -2 at 3 pi over 2. So we can do, instead of degrees, we can do our radians here. Now notice that it's a -2. All right, we'll see what that means in just a second. First thing is, let's go to my 3 pi over 2. So starting from here, I go this way to this spot. That's 3 pi over 2. Now, if it was a +2 for my r, I would go here to this spot, right here at +2. So it's going 2 away from there. But with a -2, we're actually going to go in the opposite direction. So from here, I go 1, 2, 1, 2. This is my point right here. So this is going to be point R. Okay. So we're just plotting it there. And again, so negative just means, so we have a positive degree radians or positive radians and a negative R. So we go the opposite direction after we show this spot. Okay. So we got 4, -90. So again, we're do from our polar axis is right here. Whoops. About that. Try that again. Okay, there's my polar axis. -90 degrees is going to put me down here in this direction. So it's going to go to -90. And then it's +4. So that means from the pole, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be point M in this case. Okay. And then we got 3, 5 pi over 6. So go to the 5 pi over 6 position first, which is going to be right here. So focusing on that one. It's a +3. So I go 1, 2, 3 right there. There's point A. All right. Got another example. Got -2 to -240 degrees. So again, this one's a little bit trickier because we have two negatives going on. But start with the -240. So if I start from here, here's my 0. -240 is going to go put me right about, it's going to be putting me here. Okay, that's -240 degrees. From there, my point Q is at -2. So normally I would go 2 to right this spot, but instead of that, I need to go 2 in the opposite direction. Okay, so that's going to put me at, let's see here, 1, 2. Point Q is actually right there. So remember, the -2 means we're going to go the opposite direction from our directed angle there. Okay. Multiple representation. So you've kind of seen what we've done with our positive and negative R's here. If we want to find 4 different pairs of polar coordinates that name point S, if we are going from the interval -360 to +360. So take a look where point S is at. Okay. So in order to name that point, here's our first one that we would normally do. Well, first thing I'm going to notice is it goes to a radius of 2, right? So this is my second circle. It goes 1, 2. So we know r is equal to 2. But for me to get in that position, it could also be a -2. Okay. Then if we look at the degree measure, so if I go the normal direction, it goes this way, that's 210 degrees. But if I go the opposite direction, I'm going to go this way, I can do 360 minus my 210, giving me 150. So in that case, the negative direction is negative 150 degrees. So what that means is we're going to represent kind of this idea here. So we're drawing that straight line. Let me do a different color actually. Okay. So S is going to be on that point. We got 4 options. So we got point S is the straightforward one is 210 degrees. Okay. That is telling me to go this direction, and then I go out to 2. I could go the opposite direction, put myself in the same spot. So that's going to be a not -2 yet, +2, but then negative 150 degrees. Okay. But notice how it's also 210 is on the same line as 30 degrees. Okay. So what that means is if I were to go to here, that would almost be the same position as point S, but it's just on the other side of the circle. Remember how we can do that? We can do point S is going to be at -2, positive 330 degrees. Okay. So that's telling me that I'm going to go to 30 degrees. And instead of going to a +2 here, we're going to go the opposite direction to get to S that way. And then for my last one, it's the same idea as this one right here. 30 degrees is the same as going negative 330 degrees. Okay. So 30 degrees. So that means I'm going to do -2, negative 330 degrees. Okay. So again, we get 4 possibilities to get to point S based on either positive or negative R's, and then also positive or negative angle measures. And don't forget, if you're doing a negative R, that means you have to go to like the opposite side of the circle in order to get that. Okay. And that's actually it for polar coordinates. It's just an introduction to how we can plot them. So that's all we want to do for today. So again, our polar coordinates are made up of an R and a degree, either in radians or degrees. All right. And that's it for today. Take care, everyone.